this video we are going to see how we can read the nameplate of a three-phase induction motor. So this is the nameplate of a three-phase induction motor. As you can see clearly, this is actually induction motor. So on the nameplate we can get various details, and we have to understand carefully what does it mean, why a nameplate is so important, why before ordering what other things you can look for while ordering a three-phase induction motor. So let's get started. So in the nameplate you can see here it has been written three-phase induction motor, and this is the power output of this three-phase induction motor, which is 0.200 kilowatt. That is in watts, it is 200 watts, and near to the 0.2 kilowatt it has been written 4p. It means this induction motor has got 4 number of poles. It means 2 pole pairs, and 4 number of poles it has got. So I will tell you the meaning of 4 poles going forward. And this is rated for 440 volts. Voltage is 440 volts, you can see clearly, and rated current taken by this motor is 0.62 amperes, and it is rated for 60 hertz frequency, because onboard all the marine motors they have 60 hertz frequency. They are designed to run at 60 hertz frequency, and speed of this induction motor is 1700 revolution per minute, that is 1700 rpm, and efficiency is 71%. And this INS is the insulation class. This is the insulation class, and it's class F. Then on the other side of the induction motor you can see the model number given, and FR is the frame number given, and this is rated for S1 class. There are various categories defined according to the windings. I will show you here on the left side. You can find what are the categories. So this is rated for S1 class, and this S is the service factor. I mean how much a motor can take load beyond its capacity is called the service factor, and this service factor is 1 for this motor. If service factor is 1.1 or it's 1.15, it means motor can take load up to 150%, 115% if service factor is 1.5. But here the service factor is 1.0. It means motor can take load up to its 100% only, not beyond that. And this IP is the ingress protection, and here we have IP rating is 5.4. Ingress protection, as we know how motor is protected, just affecting like dust, you have rain, everything is there. So how it is protected, that is what we call as ingress protection. And this is also very much important, bearing numbers. So bearing number for this motor is 6203ZZ and 6202ZZ. So you have to understand what does mean, and in the last we have serial numbers. So we'll discuss little bit about bearings. This bearing 6203 is the bearing for the drive hand side. The first is always the drive hand side on which the load is connected. So this is the drive hand side for this motor, and this is the non-drive hand side. Okay, so drive hand side bearing number is 6203ZZ. Now this bearing we have to understand what does ZZ mean. If it is ZZ, it means this is seal type, both sides are sealed. So we can see any types of bearing. If it is ZZ, it means the bearing is totally sealed, and if it is only Z, it means the bearing is sealed on the single side. And if the number is only 6203, it means bearing is open sided bearing, there is no sealing, and we need to manually grease the bearing. But this bearing comes with grease filled in the factory only. So both the bearings are seal bearing, and you can see the number 6203 and 6202. So this is all about how we can read the nameplate of this three-phase induction motor. We are going to do quite a few things with this motors. First of all, we are going to measure the insulation resistance and phase balance of this motor. So as you see the terminal, we can take out this glass for measuring the resistance, and we can put on one side. So for measuring the insulation resistance, we will select the knob to its highest rating. You can see I have selected to 2000 mega ohms, and voltage I have set to 500 volts, since our motor is rated for 440 volts. And for testing, what we need to do is we need to connect this to body of the motor. So we can connect this motor, this R, S and T respectively, and I have selected my ohm meter, digital ohm meter, to its maximum value. Now we'll check the resistance between the body and the phases. So I will connect the black cable to the body of the motor, and this is our positive probe. So positive probe, what I will do for testing the insulation resistance is I will turn this knob and I will lock. Now you see it's supplying 500 volt, and once I touch this ground, it is showing 0. So in to ground it will show 0. And also if we like, we can test our this whether our meter is working or not. So once we touch both the probes, so it should show 0. So you can see the meter is showing 0. It means our Megger tester is okay. Now we'll test the insulation resistance of our motor. So we'll touch to the body and we'll touch to one of its phases. As soon as you touch, you see it's showing 1, and this with greater sign, it's going upward. It means our insulation resistance is 2000 mega ohms. It is greater than 2000 mega ohms because this digital Megger is rated for 2000 only. So any values beyond 2000 it will show as 1. So we'll go to test the other winding. This is also 1. If you see, I touch to ground, it is showing 0. So as soon as I touch to the phase, it is showing 1. So insulation resistance is very good. The minimum insulation resistance that is acceptable for a 440 volt system is 1 mega ohms, and here it is showing more than 2000 mega ohms. It means our insulation resistance is very good. So we tested between all the 3 phases and we found our insulation resistance is greater than 2000 mega ohms. So this value is acceptable. So this is how you can actually carry out the insulation resistance testing of a 3-phase induction motor. So one by one you can test all of them. So now we will switch off our device. So we are done with insulation resistance test. Now we try to test this phase balance. So for testing the phase balance of this motor, so for testing the phase balance of this 3-phase induction motor, we need multimeter, and we have to switch on our multimeter and we have to select with this knob and we have to put in resistance mode. So it's already in resistance mode, it is showing in mega ohms, and it is in auto ranging function is enabled, and it's showing over limit of the open line since probes are not connected. Now we can check the insulation value of the winding, ohmic value of the winding between 2 phases we can take. So I am checking between R and T. You see it is showing around 89 ohms. If I check between R and S, it is also showing 89, and last one I will test between S and T, it is showing testing 89. So this is how we can test. So while measuring this insulation resistance or the ohmic value of the 3-phase induction motor, the ohmic value for all 3 phases should be same. It means there will be equal distribution of current through all the 3 phases, and if the current distribution, if the ohmic values are not same, it means there is phase unbalancing, and there are chances that unequal flow will current through the windings, and it will result in overheating of the motor winding.